Preet Bharara is the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Last month, his prosecutors took the rare step of charging an entire hedge fund, SAC Capital, with insider trading. It is owned by its namesake, Stephen A. Cohen, who is not charged. Preet Bharara joins us for his first interview since announcing the indictment. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So the question obviously is, why indict the hedge fund and not the man who runs it?
Look, we bring cases when we have the evidence and where the law gives us the ability to charge. Sometimes it's the case that individuals can be charged, and that's how you can get accountability. And sometimes it's, and we've charged a number of people at that particular place. And sometimes it's the case that conduct is so pervasive and there is so much that shouldn't be going on, that is going on, that the only way justice can be done is by indicting the entire institution.
Okay, but are you saying you simply, after all this, did not have enough evidence to indict Stephen Cohen after all this?
As I said when we announced the charges, that the investigation is ongoing and it's not closed. And at this point, we indicted the hedge fund, as I said, at the time that we announced the case, because of the degree and nature and scope of the misconduct that had gone on there for a number of years, as laid out in great detail in the indictment.
It must bother you that you couldn't indict him.
Nothing bothers me.
Nothing bothers you?
Very little.
Wow, that's...
Except I went to the wrong college, apparently.
Well, we should go to yours.
It bothers me a little bit. I need to get better glasses, apparently, also.
Yeah, well, but you learn a lot here.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Well, let me just read you something that David Anderson, he's a former U.S. attorney in San Francisco. He's now at Sidley Austin. He said, the problem with charging SAC is that it's a criminal case without a criminal. Where's the body?
Well, I think there are a lot of bodies. Yeah. As we pointed out, we have already taken guilty pleas from, I think, 6 individuals who committed misconduct while they were at SAC Capital, and there are 2 other people who are pending trial. In addition, there are other people who are not identified by name in the indictment who are also alleged to have committed insider trading activity. And when you have that number of people, I mean, as I pointed out, again, when we announced the case, that the scope and pervasiveness of the insider trading that went on at this particular place is unprecedented in the history of hedge funds. When you have that kind of activity, an indictment of the entire institution seems appropriate.
But you must have believed that Stephen Cohen had done something wrong to pursue him and the firm in the way you have. You must have a belief that there is evidence. I simply haven't found it.
When there is evidence that there's something bad going on at any institution, we investigate it. The FBI investigates it with us, and when there's a parallel proceeding, the SEC is also taking a look at it. And when we find evidence of a particular nature that we can prove beyond a reasonable doubt against any individual, high or low, we bring the case. And as I said, the case remains open.
Go ahead.
The case remains open. For those of our viewers who are not in New York or don't follow Wall Street or not in the financial industry, explain how pervasive insider trading is and why it matters.
You know, insider trading, I think, as I've said a number of times, is so pervasive as to be perhaps rampant, and there are polls that show this. The evidence from our own office is over the course of the last 3.5 years or so, we have convicted 74 different individuals of insider trading for, in some cases, significant amounts of money. And it is in every sector. It's in the healthcare sector. It's in the tech sector. It is geographically diverse. It's on the West Coast. It's on the East Coast. It's people who are insiders at companies. It's people who are at hedge funds. It's people who are at expert networking firms. So it's
and the cost to the average consumer is?
Well, you know, the cost to the system is that people lose faith and confidence in the market. I mean, I think people are very tired of there being people who have lots and lots of money, sometimes billions of dollars, who don't play by the same rules as everyone else. And, you know, in this country, whether it's on Wall Street or in Albany or anyplace else, there's one set of rules, and everyone has to follow those rules. And if people don't like the rules, they can write their congressman. But the rules are the rules, and I think people are right to be upset about the fact that some people think that they can be so blasé about it and so casual about it and so cavalier about it that they can do what they want. And law enforcement has a role to play in making sure that people are confident that everyone is playing by the same set of rules.
People used to call Elliot Spitzer the sheriff of Wall Street. Now they call you the sheriff of Wall Street.
Is that a question?
Yeah. Do you like that?
No. I mean, look, as I say often, prosecutors can only do so much. You know, we have a pretty blunt instrument. We can indict a person. We can indict sometimes even an institution like a hedge fund. But if you actually want to get a culture of corruption to be corrected, whether it's at a financial institution or a manufacturing company or broadly on Wall Street or in Albany, you need actually the people who are there, the people who are in the compliance offices, the people who are in the general counsel's offices, shareholders, all to care a lot about the culture so that it improves.
You not only prosecute Wall Street, you also prosecute terrorism. And tell us what you know in light of what we've just heard and the alert about al-Qaeda on the Arabian Peninsula.
Well, obviously, I can't talk about what's going on in the last few hours.
But you have prosecuted before, and you know the nature of the organization there.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we take seriously in the government, whether it's you know, the military or intelligence agencies, or the Department of Justice, or particular U.S. Attorney's Office, the threat of terrorism. We have taken it seriously for a long time, and AQAP has been a problem that we have focused on for a while. We arrested an individual by the name of Ahmed Warsami about a year and a half ago. He pled guilty a few months ago, and he, as was alleged, was a conduit between Al-Shabaab, which is a terrorist organization, and AQAP. He pled guilty and is awaiting sentencing, and we got a lot of information from him, and I think, you know, both people in my office and at the FBI and at intelligence agencies around the world take the threat of AQAP very seriously.
What's in your future? Would you be interested if President Obama offered you the Attorney General position?
I like the job I have now. I have a great job. Just like you have great jobs.
Well, you're right on that. Right on that point. So what's the most important thing that we need to know in terms of what's on your agenda now?
Well, you know, we continue to look at crime on Wall Street. We continue to look at public corruption. We continue to look at some things that people don't spend as much attention on, like gang violence. There are people who aren't able to walk to school without worrying about being shot. So all sorts of things we focus on.
The intent of the question was the scope of the activity of the office.
Yeah, we do all sorts of things that I think don't get as much attention as the reason you invited me on the show to talk about a particular hedge fund or particular insider traders. We do things that make the people, I think, of New York safer and the community better and the country a little bit better. And I would wish that some of that work got as much attention as some of the other work that we do.
That's why I asked the question.
Preet Bharara, good to have you here. Thanks so much.